February of this year. All of this is being held up because of this application for membership before the United Nations first. And second, the only reason that they're going forward with these applications for membership into various UN bodies is to try to maintain and show that there is some form of legitimacy with the current rule in Palestine. Unfortunately, there is none. And so while they continue to move ahead with all of this, what we as Palestinians should be asking is this really the best way to be going forward? And there are three main criticisms that I and others have when it comes to this UN bid for statehood. The first I've already expressed to you, which is that there's a lack of legitimacy. The second is, even if they move ahead with this application, even if Palestine gets recognized before the United Nations, it will do absolutely nothing to secure Palestinian rights, to ensure Palestinian rights to return. In fact, what they aim to do is, rather than hold on to the right of return, they aim to give up the right of return in exchange for some sort of statement that looks like this. And the third main criticism that exists is the question of, in whose name is this body speaking? Who's doing this? Is it the PLO that's doing this? Is it the Palestinian Authority? Are they doing it on behalf of all Palestinians? Is it just on behalf of some Palestinians? And lastly, another criticism is this simply yet another tactic on the part of the Palestinian Authority to get back to this very negotiations process? Or is this a different strategy that they are pursuing? And here's where I want to outline my own vision and my own strategy, and take you back to what I was talking about in terms of what happened 20 years ago. 20 years ago, as I said, the big debate on campuses was whether Palestinians existed, whether Palestinians were interlopers, whether we were actually people. Today, the debate that exists on campuses across the United States has nothing to do with that, and is far more wide-ranging and expansive. And what I believe in the way that we should be pursuing and going ahead is, rather than looking at these symbolic gestures of trying to obtain membership in UNESCO or trying to attain membership in the International Labor Organization, which is really not going to change the situation on the ground for Palestinians on a day-to-day basis, we instead need to pursue a completely different policy and a different path. And that path entails three elements. One, we need to come up with a legal strategy that's going to focus on litigating Israel, challenging Israel before international courts, challenging Israel before domestic courts, challenging every facet of the occupation, every facet of Israel's denial of freedom to Palestinians. This is one strategy that has not been tested and needs to be tested. We did have a successful victory with the case before the International Court of Justice, but unfortunately the Palestinian Authority dropped the ball on that, and the world community dropped the ball on that. So that's the first element. We need to have a strategy that focuses on, that's a legal strategy. The second is that we need to actually start pursuing a strategy that is a diplomatic strategy that is very different than this idea of membership in UN bodies. Again, membership in UN bodies is not going to change the reality on the ground for Palestinians. It's not going to change the day-to-day existence for Palestinians. Instead, there should be a diplomatic offensive that focuses on isolating Israel in terms of its actions around the world. Just in the same way that it got a big boom during the period of negotiations, those 34 countries that recognized it, the additional money that it got, the trade offices, what we should now be focusing on is actually curtailing and scaling that down, so that Israel is now isolated from the international community rather than applauded. Just in the same way that it was isolated yesterday. What was remarkable yesterday in the UNESCO vote is that you had over 100 countries voting in favor of Palestine's membership, and it's very symbolic, by the way. It's just a symbolic recognition. But 107 countries voting in favor of Palestine's admission, and 14 countries standing against. Great countries like Vanuatu. Great countries like Palau. And these are the countries that the United States is now standing alongside of. Unfortunately, Canada is one of those, and I say that because I'm so my first thing is that we should be focusing on legal strategies. The second is we should be focusing on a diplomatic strategy. And the third, which is the most important element, which is what you guys are here doing on this campus, is we need to start focusing on boycotts, divestments, and sanctions. And this is where the work of SJPs across the nation are so vitally important. 20 years ago, when I was a student on campus, not only were we discussing whether Palestinians were a people and having to refute the Joan Peters argument, but the main debate that was raging on campuses of my day was the issue of apartheid and what we could be doing to stop apartheid as students. You as students play a very vital role in stopping Israeli apartheid. Just in the same way that there were tools that were put into place to stop South African apartheid, so too should this be the focus of your work on campus. Trying to get divestment resolutions passed, trying to get boycotts in place, trying to create awareness. Now, I know that you're going to face a lot of opposition, and I know that the rules have changed in the 20 years since I was on campus. But just the fact that you can begin to get those debates on campus, the mere fact that you can begin to discuss this, the mere fact that you're raising these issues actually shifts the debate. It's no longer going to be a question of whether Palestinians are a people, whether Palestinians have rights, but it's more going to be a question of what is it that we as a global society, global citizenry, should be doing to make sure that Palestinians actually attain their freedom. I firmly believe that you are the key to making sure that we move ahead. I don't believe in the negotiations process, as you are well aware. I don't believe in this process of going before the United Nations. I do believe in the actions of SJPs, in the actions of boycotts, in the actions of divestment, and in the actions of sanctions. I hope that you continue with these, with your efforts, and thank you very much for your time. I'm going to stop right here until the end of 45 minutes. Thank you.